Assalamualaikum and hi. Today we will talk and share about the betrothal and also the breach of promise to marry in our civil law. Let's get started. In our societies, betrothal is a formal part for the marriage. Betrothal or promise to marry is made by two parties. It can simply be understood made by a man for the woman's hand in marriage. A civil transaction subject in some instances to a fine and other penalty. In Malaysia, there are no specific provisions of law relating to the issue of promise to marry. The breach of promise to marry is still under the Contract Act 1950 and English common law. In order to apply the promise, it does not require any written agreement or mutual promise which is expressly worded, but it is sufficient enough as long there is evidence of consideration to create the promise. Next, we will move to element in betrothal.
In civil law, there are some elements which need to be confirmed to ensure the promise to marry is valid. Firstly, there must be an offer to marry. Secondly, there must be acceptance of the offer to marry. For example, one party is proposing and then the other party accepts the proposal of engagement. Thirdly, there must be consideration from the promisee to marry the promiser. For example, the consent and agreement to marry, or an action from the promisee doing some acts requested by the promiser, such as moving to somewhere. Fourthly, the element is capacity. That is, both of the parties must be single when the promise is made. If not, the promise to marry is illegal. The last element for the promise to be valid is age. The minimum age for men is 18 years old and 16 years old for women, which need to get permission from Chief Minister or permission from parents if parents if above 18 years old but under 21 years old.
But in the civil law, have some exceptions that engagement is valid. Among of that, first exception is if a woman did not know that a man was married when the betrothal was being made. For example, we can see the case of Shaw versus Shaw, which is Mr. Shaw represented himself as a widower to his partner when the promise was being made. Second exception is the betrothal was made during the period of decreancy. Meaning of decreancy is the process after divorce to get a certificate made by the court. So, if someone made promise during the period of decreancy, the engagement will be valid.
Okay, we're gonna talk about the breach of promise to marry. An action for breach against the party, whether it be the man or woman. The breach will be if one party demands for the marriage, but the other party does not have any reasonable excuses for not wanting the marriage. In Malaysia, there is no specific provision of law that related to promise to marry, but it can be killed under contract law. In order to defend from the breach, the default must provide proof that he or she has entered into the contract to marry as a result of a material misrepresentation of fact by the other parties. Second, the other party has some actual moral, physical, or mental infirmity, so they cannot fit the marriage. The infirmity must be discovered either after the engagement contract or had only begun to develop after the making of the contract.
Have you ever wondered whether the breach of promise to marry can be claimed or not? So here the answer. According to the contract law in Malaysia, whether a man or a woman have their right to claim compensation against the party who breached the promise to marry, as long as the plaintiff can special damages refer to damages for the specific items that can be quantified in monetary compensation, such as medical expenses and cost of wedding preparation.